What's up, guys? D-Rock 1992 here. It's been a while since I've done my last About video, about a week or so ago, and that last video was on Samuel L. Jackson, one of my favorite actors. Um, for this video, I'm going to talk about an actor who may not be as well known to some people. If you do know him, you know him for two different things: his comedic roles and his dramatic mobster type roles. The guy I'm talking about, he's been a supporting actor for a long time, been in a few starring vehicles himself, but the guy I'm talking about is Joe Pesci. You may know him from a specific comedy film that I am going to be talking about. Actually, two specific comedy films in particular. You'll know as soon as I say the names of them. And, you know, he's been in a lot of prominent, big-time gangster, mobster type films. I'm not going to talk about his television career because it's really not worth talking about per se, you know. So I'm going to take television out of the equation, and I'm just going to talk about his movie career. So without further ado, I'm going to get right into it. His first appearance in a movie, was an uncredited role in the 1961 movie Hey, Let's Twist. He was a dancer in this role, which, when I think of Joe Pesci, I don't think of him as a dancer, per se. More on that a little bit later, you know, on his portrayals in movies. Couple movies between 1961 and 1980, not worth mentioning. 1980, his first prominent role comes out. This kind of introduces him a little bit to the public, to the Hollywood public, you know, the fans and all that sort of thing. He was in the famous 1980 boxer movie Raging Bull. Raging Bull was directed by Martin Scorsese and starring Robert De Niro. Pesci's first collaboration with De Niro, and not the only one. He's been in a lot of movies with De Niro. But Raging Bull is very significant for a couple things. One, it really introduced Joe Pesci to the Hollywood public. You know, it really introduced him to the Hollywood limelight. You know, the Hollywood scene. And a couple other reasons too. Another reason, Raging Bull is one of the greatest movies of all time. I mean, in terms of critics' review on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got like a 96, 98%. And another reason is that Joe Pesci was nominated for an Academy Award for the movie for Best Supporting Actor. So he did so well in this movie in a supporting role that he definitely got, he was rewarded with a nomination. He didn't win, but he did win an Academy Award later on for another big movie as well. In the 1980s, not really 1980s, and a couple movies in the 1990s aren't, you know, they're not as well-known movies for Joe Pesci. I'm going to mention a couple. 1984, he has another collaboration with De Niro in the movie Once Upon a Time in America. This is a movie with Robert De Niro, James Woods, Joe Pesci in a supporting role. This movie, not as well known, not one of De Niro's most well-known roles, but worth mentioning because it's another collaboration with De Niro. 1988, this is the most unexpected movie probably. Joe Pesci, he's probably known more to younger viewers, he's known more for comedy, and I'll get more into that after. To older viewers, he's known as a mobster type character, the short mobster type, pissed off type of character. He plays that extremely well. 1988 in Moonwalker, this is a Michael Jackson movie, and he has a supporting role in the film. He has a pretty significant role. When I think of Joe Pesci, I don't think of Michael Jackson, you know? Two totally different personalities, you know? It's just an unusual role, but he was in 1988's Moonwalker. Another movie worth mentioning in the 80s was the beginning of a series, actually the second movie of the Lethal Weapon series, Lethal Weapon 2. He came out with Lethal Weapon 2, new character introduced. He was not in the first Lethal Weapon, but gets introduced in Lethal Weapon 2 as the funny Leo Getz. And the character is very well known to Lethal Weapon fans, absolutely. Just a funny comedic element added to those movies, which probably was the main reason, or the big reason, why we got 2 more Lethal Weapon movies after Lethal Weapon 2. He was in Lethal Weapon 3 and Lethal Weapon 4. More on Lethal Weapon 4 afterwards. But 1990, his Academy Award movie, he got an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for this role, was Goodfellas. Another amazing Martin Scorsese film. I haven't watched it. I'd love to someday. This also, again, has Robert De Niro in it. And, Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese directs the film. The film itself really explains the aspects of gangster mobster life. It really does explain that. And it's based on a true story, I believe. Kind of loosely based, I believe. But yeah, Goodfellas, he gets an Academy Award for the performance for Best Supporting Actor. And it's not a it's a breakthrough role, probably. One of his early breakthrough roles. Not his breakout, though. That comes up a little later. 1990, that comedy movie that I was talking about that a lot of people would know him from. Younger viewers will know him for 1990's amazingly popular Home Alone. He was one of the wet bandits in the movie. Harry Lime he plays. His character is Harry Lime. And he a lot of viewers who know him for the mobster type characters probably were going in not really expecting that type of role from Joe Pesci, a comedic type role. But he is one of the big highlights of Home Alone. Obviously, Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin is the young kid in the movie. And by the way, where has Macaulay Culkin gone? Wow. Maybe I'll do a video on him someday. Just for his child acting, pretty much. And then Daniel Stern plays the other wet bandit. I'm not gonna get into the plot of the story because a lot of people have watched the movie. It's a very popular movie. At one point, Home Alone was the highest-grossing comedy film of all time. It's that good. It was that dynamic, and it really introduced Joe Pesci to a newer audience, that younger audience. 1991, a film worth mentioning. He stars in JFK. The story of... This is about the events after John F. Kennedy's death. John F. Kennedy, of course, President of the United States, assassinated in 1963 by Lee Harvey Oswald. This kind of gets into that a little bit, gets into the Warren Commission assigned to investigate Kennedy's assassination even further. Uh, this was a controversial movie at the time of its release, but also a well informative movie as well. Kevin Costner has the main role, and Joe Pesci has a supporting role as this guy named David Ferry in the film. But the next year, he comes out with his breakout performance, his first starring role, his first major starring role. I think he may have had a starring role in the 80s in some little movie, but this is just his breakout first major starring role, 1992, My Cousin Vinny. He plays a lawyer in this movie, and I think he has to defend this suspect in a trial. I haven't watched the movie. I'd love to someday. But My Cousin Vinny, one of his, check it out if you haven't seen it. I'll definitely check it out someday. Really, really made Joe Pesci not a superstar per se, but a very good actor. It got him even further, made him even further into a good actor, definitely. It got him more exposure, pretty much, I think. Also in 1992, he appears in Lethal Weapon 3, reprises his role as Leo Getz. 1992, there is a sequel to the famous Home Alone. It's Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. This film didn't get quite the reception. It did not get the reception that 1 did. I've watched both of them, and I liked 2. It was very entertaining when I watched it. I think I even liked 2 a little better than 1, honestly. But yeah, Home Alone 2, it's just he reprises his role in the film. It is definitely a well-known type of film, and it continues Pesci's reputation as a comedic actor. Definitely pretty big there. 1995, he appears in a movie that has significance to me because it was the first movie I actually ever reviewed on this channel. 1995's Casino. He has a supporting role in the film as a guy named Nicky Santoro. Again, I think this is loosely based on a true story. Again, another movie directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Robert De Niro. So these three, Scorsese, De Niro, and Pesci, have collaborated quite a bit on films. It's just been unbelievable the way they've been able to work together. And of course, Scorsese is known for a lot of his collaborators, for multiple movies with the same people, pretty much. But Casino was a pretty good success, definitely, when it came out. And just another movie where Pesci plays that short, pissed off type mobster character, pretty much. 1998, he comes out with Lethal Weapon 4, and Lethal Weapon 4 in a way is significant because after this movie in 1999, Joe Pesci announces his retirement from acting. And I bet when a lot of people heard about that, it came as a big shock, probably. Joe Pesci, while not the superstar type actor, he's definitely not a superstar actor, but he's definitely a good actor. Maybe below the upper echelon of those big time movie stars. Below that little echelon of them. But I'm not going to mention the Lethal Weapon plots as well, because actually a lot of you may know them, per se. And I'll talk more about them when I do Mel Gibson. I'm definitely going to talk about him. But Lethal Weapon 4, the last film until 2006, Joe Pesci actually does come back to Hollywood. His retirement is... Lethal Weapon 4 was 1998. He announced his retirement in 1999. He didn't do any movies in 99. So, 7-year retirement. And then he comes back with 2006, The Good Shepherd. This is a movie, again, Robert De Niro stars in the film. Matt Damon is also in the film as well. And again, Joe Pesci stars in a supporting role in this movie. Good Shepherd, a supporting role in the film. Angelina Jolie is also in the film as well. But The Good Shepherd, very significant because it was Pesci's return to acting after he announced his retirement in 1999. After The Good Shepherd, he appeared in one other movie, 2010, a movie called Love Ranch. The movie did not do very well at all. It also stars Helen Mirren as well. But that's pretty much it for Joe Pesci, in particular. 2 movies he's done since his retirement, basically. Since his announced retirement in 1999, he's done 2 movies since then. And he has another one that's coming up that actually has been announced. In 2015, he is going to come out with a movie called The Irishman. And this movie is going to be directed by Martin Scorsese, another Martin Scorsese directed film. This movie is going to have Robert De Niro in it, another collaboration with De Niro, Pesci, and Al Pacino. So look for that out in theaters probably 2015, next year. It's what it says on Wikipedia, that it should be coming out in 2015. But that's pretty much it for Joe Pesci in particular. A very short video, definitely not a whole lot to... A little bit to talk about. Not as much as what I had to talk about in the video before this one about Samuel L. Jackson. So, that's it for this video. D-Rock 1992, out.